All right. So today I wanted to talk about this concept that you get what you focus on, and yeah, this is something that I've been struggling with. 'Cause I truly believe that the more you focus on something, the more that stuff is going to come to you. It's like eh, I believe in all this kind of shit, like energy and all this stuff, and like if you focus on something, I believe you're like telling the universe or whatever the order of all this shit is. The more you focus on, say, like negative shit, the more I believe you're sort of drawing that stuff to you. I don't have any examples on why I believe that. I just believe that. I mean, well, I guess I kind of do. I mean, I think I've talked about this before. I have some bullet points. I'll see if I can stay on track, but I'm already getting a little derailed. But I do believe this to a certain extent. I think I've talked about this before, but I'll cover it again. This was like back when I first started my company in 2002. I was doing motion graphics, and I did zero advertising. So everything was all word of mouth. So my whole thing was like, I'll get a job working for, not get a job. Somebody will hire my company to do a project. And the idea was like, I'm going to do such a good job and be, so on top of everything that they'll tell other people about it. So it was mainly word of mouth advertising. So with that in mind, when there was downtime, there was no real proactive shit that I would do, like outreach or anything. I didn't do any of that stuff at all. And so when there was downtime, I would just believe something's going to come. And, it's not the best. I wouldn't do that now. That's not how I do it. That's not how I run my current business. But one thing that I would do is so like when there was downtime, I would kind of rest a little bit. And then I would start getting stressed out and start thinking like, well, I got to get some work. Like, how am I going to get some work? And so what I would do is I would be like, well, if I just start doing work that I don't know where I got this from, but I would think like, if I just start doing work, even though I don't have like paid work, I'm just going to work on shit. Then I'm telling the universe that I'm ready for work, and then something will come in. And something always came in. And, I can't sit here and tell you that that's because of me putting that order out into the universe. I can't prove that, but it seemed to work. I mean, like I said, I don't know if it worked or not. I just know that work came in. And so I went into it with that belief. So I'm already derailed. So let's just get back to the bullet points. So the way I wanted to approach this is I was on a call with Ed Milet last week, I think, and he was talking about the reticular activating system. It's a part of your brain. It's a network of neurons that filter shit out. So I'm not a neuroscientist, obviously, but I do have a little bit of understanding. Well, I have learned some things about this, and I'll explain sort of how I understand it. I don't know if it's exactly spot on or not, so do your own research if you want. But my understanding of this is when you focus on something, this part of your brain it's almost like it receives an order that this is something that you want to focus on. So it's going to sort of filter things out in the world around you. So it's kind of like, like if you're in a crowded place and somebody yells your name, even if the volume isn't necessarily louder than everything else, it kind of cuts through. I believe it's the reticular activating system that sort of filters everything out, for that kind of thing. Or I think they've talked about it too. Not me. I've heard about this before where, like if a mother loses their kid or something, they'll be able to identify their kid's voice over all the chatter all around them, and it's like, cause it's filtering out all of the shit that's not important and really kind of focusing in on the things that are. And this happens all the time where, Jesse and I'll go to a coffee shop, and I have pretty bad hearing. I'm completely deaf in my left ear, and my right ear seems fine, but that's half of my shit. And I always hear when they call her name, like when the food's ready, even if it's super loud in there. And sometimes I'll hear it and she won't, and she has perfectly good hearing. So I have a feeling that that's part of it. But Another example that I could give you on stuff that you've probably had happen is, when you want to buy something like a car or something like that, then all of a sudden you're seeing that car all over the place. This happened to me in the 90s. I was talking about buying a new car, and a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, you should get one of those." And he pointed to a Chevy Impala. And this was in the mid 90s. So the Chevy Impala had not been around for a long time. And then 94, 95, and 96, they released sort of a limited edition of the Chevy Impala for those 3 years. And I had never noticed this car like on the road at all. And when he pointed it out, he's like, "Oh, those things are awesome. You should get one, a 96. And then all of a sudden I just started seeing it everywhere. A car that I'd never noticed. All of a sudden I felt like I was just surrounded by these things everywhere I went. And I ended up buying one. So that's sort of my understanding of how that works. And then I want to kind of get into how you can use that to your advantage, and then how I believe you can sort of sabotage yourself with the same concept. So this is something I've been focusing on a lot. Well, I've been trying to correct my sort of mindset on things, because my brain has a real tendency to go to like impending doom mode, I guess you could call it. So like, for example, like with my business, like I'm always stressed out about it. Like I'll have a really good day and then I won't be stressed out. And then another day where sales are down lower than normal, and my brain just starts going into this like everything's going to shit kind of mode. And what's concerning to me is I believe that, well, like I said, I believe in all this energy and all this sort of shit. So I kind of have this belief that if I focus a lot on, everything's going to go to shit, I feel like I'm kind of like putting an order out into the universe and saying like, yeah, I want everything to go to shit. That's why I'm focused on this all the time. But then at the same time, it's also like, if I'm focusing on that, then my reticular activating system is going to be on the lookout for that kind of shit, like, well, I don't even know how that would work. I mean, how is it going to bring more of that in? And I don't know, maybe, honestly, maybe it does. Cause I feel like on those days where I'm especially stressed out, like today's one of those days, I'll be honest. I'm like really stressed out. I'm not liking what I'm seeing on the numbers for the last 3 days, but that's not even something that most people, you're not even supposed to do that. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but most business people I talk to, they don't like really look at things on a day to day. It's like on a weekly or monthly or bi-monthly basis. Cause you're averaging, it's like business, like shit's going to go up, it's going to go down. And if you're constantly looking at it hour by hour, it's going to fucking stress you out if the numbers are low, So today is just one of those days I just keep looking at it. I'm like, man, this is all fucked up. It's, unhealthy, and it's counterproductive. So my whole belief that like, if I focus on that too much, then I'm going to bring more of that. And I find like those days, I'm not nearly as productive on the days that I'm thinking positive. So I don't know, maybe that is a kind of thing where you're sort of like looking for things. So maybe like today I was dealing with a lot of like procrastination, like even recording this podcast, I have it on my list to do it, but I've been procrastinating. And I wonder if it's like, cause I'm too focused on the negative stuff. So I'm like drawing in all these reasons to not do the shit that I need to do. And on days where everything's firing and I'm feeling good and I'm feeling positive and all that stuff, it's hard for me to stop doing the shit that I need to do, So I wonder if that is part of it. And so shifting over to what I believe is the importance of having a more positive mindset is like, if you start focusing on all the things that are good and things that you want, the good things that you want to happen, I believe that your brain is going to filter out all of the bad shit, and not filter it out, but it'll be more on the lookout for the good shit, for opportunities. It'll spark ideas that, I would imagine some of my best ideas for the business that move the business forward happen when I'm on a positive day, not so much when I'm on the negative day. I'm fairly certain of that, although I can't really come up with any specific examples, but well, I guess I can. I mean, I know just recently I had an idea to do this like slap tag template thing on our website. So I knew graffiti writers from experience, a lot of them like a very simple slap tag. When we first started printing stickers, I made all these like really creative templates, you know, and they had like imagery and the text was all kind of interesting in a design standpoint. And then we put that out into the market, and it was my first go at printing stickers for graffiti writers. And we started getting orders, but like nobody was using the templates. They were all like, "Oh, can you just make a font? Like just put my name and my crew as a font." And most of them didn't even care what the hell font it was. They just wanted it to be a simple thing that they just put up that had their name on it. And so our sticker printing evolved way past like what we were doing before. I was printing them by hand and all of this kind of stuff. And I sort of just put that whole experience in the back of my mind, and I hadn't thought about it. And then just recently, and I'm assuming it was on a good day where I was focused and I was thinking positive on moving the business forward. I had this idea to sort of bring that back, but bring back what I initially saw that people wanted. I mean, this was a long time ago, but I was, you know, I pay attention. So when I'm out on the street and I'm looking around, most of the stickers that I see are these simple things. So anyway, long story short, this is a good day where I'm like thinking productively and I'm thinking positively on moving the business forward. And that's when I have an idea to bring that whole template thing back, but do it in a way that's very simple. They just go to the website, you know, you order the quantity. There's one size. I'm like, this is the best size for slaps. Like just made it real simple. Type in what you want, pick a font that are on the website there, and we'll make it for you. And so I brought that to the team, and everybody was like, yeah, that sounds cool. The other thing that was cool about it is we have these older printers that print them perfectly fine, but they're just a slightly different system. I won't get into too much detail than what our current printers are doing for the bulk of our sticker printing business. So it was a perfect thing that all came together for utilizing these printers and also printing stickers that speak directly to the graffiti culture, which is something that I'm really interested in doing. So long story short, we've been selling quite a lot of these. And over the month, I think we've done over 100 orders or something. And that was just an idea that just sort of popped in my head during a day where I was probably thinking positive. I don't remember exactly where my head was during that day, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume that I wasn't sitting here fucking with a negative mindset. And then all of a sudden this great idea popped into my head. So I believe if you can keep your mind focused on positive shit, then your mind, if you keep your conscious mind, so you're the one that's like having all of these negative thoughts or positive thoughts. And so if I'm thinking like moving the company forward and I'm thinking positive and I'm believing in my goals and I'm believing in that the things that I believe that Machine's going to do in the future, those ideas that are going to move the company forward are going to come during those times. And I don't believe that they're going to come during the times where I'm in this impending doom kind of mode. You know, I've been actively trying to remind myself of this because I believe this to be true. And, you know, I want to accomplish all these goals and I want to get to, you know, a certain level in this business. I want to get my physical health into a certain level. And I believe that keeping your mind focused on the positive is what's going to kind of allow your mind to, or your reticular activating system to kind of filter out the negative shit and find those opportunities for you. You know, like I said, I also believe in all the universe shit and like the law of attraction, and I believe in all that kind of stuff too. So I was on a drive with Jesse today. We went out to the desert. We took the dogs and just kind of wanted to get away from all the noise and just, and so I had this clarity as we were driving because I was kind of feeling this negative mindset. And I was like, I'm not, kind of realized that like there was practices that I used to do that I stopped doing and that I need to start doing those again. There's three of them. So number one, I used to practice gratitude a lot more. And I got this idea from Marcus Aurelius Anderson. He talks about being grateful for the hard shit. So that was the kind of gratitude practice that I would have. I would go outside in the morning and get some sun first thing in the morning. And I haven't been doing that lately. And when I would go out there, the first thing I would do is I would start thinking about things that were stressful. And I would genuinely kind of, I don't know if the word is right, but I would kind of make myself feel gratitude for those things. And it wasn't even faking. Like, I guess at first I was kind of like forcing it, but then I would feel gratitude because I knew that, the hard shit is what strengthens you. Like, you don't go to the gym and just lift a bunch of light weights and then get all strong. That's not how it works. You have to go through hard shit in order to build that strength. So if you're going through stuff that's mentally difficult, that's how you're going to strengthen your mindset and build mental toughness and grit and all that kind of shit. And so I would do that. I would have that gratitude practice. I don't do that anymore, and I need to do that again. Another thing I used to do is I would write my goals down, and it was very repetitive. I would get up in the morning and I would pretty much write the same goals from memory. And I think those things reinforced in my mind, this is where I'm going. This is where I want to get to, all of these things that I want to accomplish and shit like that. And I know when I was doing those, the company was growing faster. Like I remember when I first started doing that, I think it was around 2020, I started writing my goals down. And it was a practice I got from the 10X rule book. And I really do believe that the act of writing things down like that, and not just reading them, but actually writing them, it just really committed them to memory. And it kind of forced me, at least in the moment, to think about those things and remember where I'm going and remember where I'm trying to get to. Then the third thing that I need to do again that I haven't been doing is actually take some time to visualize. And so I was doing this thing where also in the morning I would sit down for like 20 minutes and it was a meditation, but it wasn't, I have a couple different meditations I like to do. And one of them is to completely try to quiet my mind. I'll sit there and focus on my breathing. And every time my mind starts wandering, I'll bring my attention back to my breath. But the other one is I would sit there for 20 minutes and I would visualize where I'm trying to get the company to go. And I probably have talked about this before, but like I have this big vision of the facility, the main headquarters for Machine. And when we accomplish that, that'll be sort of the indicator of a level of success that I'm trying to get this company to, or that I'm going to get this company to. And so this practice, what I would do is I would sit there and I would spend the whole 20 minutes just kind of moving around this facility. And a lot of times when I would start this visualization practice, I would actually visualize myself in the morning getting ready, and I would see myself in the physical shape that I wanted to be in. I would see that, Jesse's there and we're still super happy together. And then I would get in my car and I would drive to the facility and I would see all that stuff. I could see, like I'm wearing a brand new pair of Chucks as I'm driving down the street, like little shit like that. When I would get to the place, I would see the parking lot. I would grab my bag. I would feel the weight of the bag on my shoulder. This is the level of detail that they say that you need to be visualizing in order to, quote, manifest the shit that you want. And just as a side note, I believe in what I believe in, and I also have read it, that it's not about just manifesting shit. You have to do a lot of work in order to get it there. So back to it. I would get to the spot. I would see myself getting out of the car, putting my bag on, feel the weight of the bag, closing the door and seeing my car, and it's the same fucking car, the 96 Impala, but it's in better condition, it's more fixed up. But I that's the only car I like. I don't even want, like, even if I was like a billionaire, I don't know if I don't know. I just like that car. I don't really care about, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I like the Bronco. Sorry. Back to the shit. I won't go through the whole thing, but I just want you to get an idea of the level of detail that I've heard is what you need to do, and also what I would do. So I would go in and I would greet the people there, and I would see the people. There's certain people on my team that I would go and meet with, and all these kind of things. I would go all around the whole place, and the place is so big that at one point I would go out to the warehouse and talk to the warehouse people and the head of the shipping and receiving, stuff and all that kind of thing. And then in the back of the warehouse, there's like this little golf cart, and I would get in that and I'd go drive around the grounds. You know what I mean? Like, I would just really very, very detailed visualization. And I can see as I'm talking about this, I can see the whole place. Like, it's like, I remember having this conversation with Cub because the place is very similar. It's gotten bigger since 2020, but in my mind. But I remember telling Cub about this stuff, and oh man, I lost my train of thought. Oh, he would say, that shit already exists. It's just, we're just not in that time. We're not in that point in time. It's already there. It's just in the future. I miss that dude. He believed the shit more than I did, So anyway, the other key component that I've heard about, and I believe this to be true, is while you're visualizing all of this shit, you have to kind of feel what it would feel like to have it. So like if you've ever bought a new car or something like that, what did that feel like when you first sat in it and drove it and realized like, oh man, I got this thing? Or, apply that to anything that you started thinking that you want, and then when you got it, like that feeling. And so I understand that that's a key component of visualization and kind of like manifesting these things into your life. And so all of this stuff, so like if you put all those things into practice, and especially the visualization stuff, it could be this like big universal thing, like you're manifesting and you're putting this order out into the universe, and the universe is going to open these sort of doors for you, and it's up to you to do the work to walk through those doors, like all of that kind of shit. That's all possible. I don't know. But then there's also the possibility that practicing these kind of things, when you think about it, if your reticular activating system filters out shit that's irrelevant and it really focuses on the things that you want. So like, go back to the idea of like, you wanted to buy a red fucking Mustang or something like that, and then all of a sudden you see like red Mustangs all over the place. Like, that's your reticular activating system showing you the shit that you want. So if you're thinking about these big goals and these big things that you want to accomplish in your life, I believe that reticular activating system is going to do the same shit. It's just a much, much more complex thing. Like, I'm focusing on this huge, I don't even know how big it is, like 100,000 square feet. It has a graph yard. It has like little Airbnbs for fucking flying in artists from all over the world, graph writers to do art shows in this big ass gallery. Like, it's this big thing. Like, what is my reticular activating system going to show me? Is it going to show me these huge buildings? It does, because I always notice these big buildings, and I'm like, that's about the size of the building that I picture, But I also believe it's also gonna filter out shit like opportunities and little steps along the way. But I just need to pay attention to them. So anything you want in your life, it's gonna start with a thought anyway. So why not put some of these things into practice? And it's possible that your brain will kind of put things to work. That I don't even know how people even know what the fuck the reticular activating system is, or how they figured this shit out. But we've all experienced these kind of things that I'm talking about. So I believe it to be true. So anything you want in your life, you know you're going to start with a thought. So why not focus on keeping your thoughts positive? So make sure that you bring more positive shit into your life. All right.
Appreciate each and every one of you guys who are supporting the cause and continue to spread the love. And yeah, stay up.